I'm Isa. If you're new, hi, how are you doing? Welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. How are you doing? I'm going to be reading some Reddit stories, specifically paranormal stories. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to get started. No other information is needed. We're just going to get started with this. So yeah, I have my computer right here. So if I'm looking all the way down, that's why. First story, encounter from my childhood. I'm sure we've all had some sort of paranormal experience as a kid. I know I did. I used to see the same ghost very often when I was like 6 years old maybe. Never saw them again, but I used to see the same one frequently. Hi, so I had a few weird things happen when I was younger in my childhood home. My parents built the house, so I don't know how it could be a ghost or anything, so maybe you guys could help me figure out what it would be. As a child, I was always pretty scared. I remember feeling watched constantly, and I was just generally uneasy all the time, which seems like it could just be attributed to being a flighty child. I would hear noises constantly, but only had 2 experiences that seem undeniably supernatural. The first one was when I was maybe 9 or 10. I had bunk beds, and I always slept on the top bunk. Being a child of the 2000s, I also had Pokemon cards all over my floor. I distinctly remember one night of them floating up on its own, then spinning and flying to hit my bed. After that, I'm sure I just covered my face with a blanket and forced myself to sleep. The second time I was home alone, no idea how old I was, but I was still pretty young. It was the morning and I was looking in our pantry for what I wanted for breakfast, and I felt someone behind me. They were breathing really heavily in my ear, which was really creepy. At this point, I remember assuming that my brother must have been home and was just doing something to scare me. I was so sure of this that I spun around and I tried to push him, but nobody was there. I walked all around the house, and that's when I realized I was alone. These things happened at least like 10 to 15 years ago now. Nothing as creepy has happened since then. I recently moved back into the house during the pandemic, and I swear I can still hear someone walking down the halls. My mom also believes in the ghost, but she's sure it's benevolent, while I'm certain it's at best neutral. So what do you guys think? Poltergeist maybe. Where would it have come from and why? Edit. I should also add, I've never told these stories before to anyone but my mom. I feel a little anxious about it, like it could upset the spirit or whatever to talk about them, but I'm not as afraid of them as I was when I was a child. They never hurt me. It's always more like they want me to know they're there and probably think it's a little funny how easily scared I am. See, in this situation, I would probably just run. I think now I know what to possibly look for, because a lot of stuff has come out recently about the third Conjuring movie that people have felt weird after watching the movie, that there's something not demonic about it, but the fact that there's some weird energy that people feel when they watch this movie. Also, I honestly don't know if this is a true thing. Can you actually get something attached to you, like if you watch a scary movie? Let's read another story, because why else am I here? Vera Farmiga, if you don't know who she is the actress that takes on the role of Lorraine Warren. Okay, Vera Farmiga thinks her bathroom is haunted. She first stepped into Lorraine Warren's on-screen shoes in 2013 and has familiarized herself with the backstories of the Conjuring universe. From Annabelle to Bathsheba to Arnie Johnson, she's acted out some frightening encounters in 7 films. Wilson is skeptic but admitted some strange things happened when they shot the first film. Farmiga says she witnessed many incidents but doesn't always tell anyone. Then she highlighted a present-day problem. Like right now, my toilet paper, she began. Every time I pull out a sheet of toilet paper, there's 5 little claw marks fall to the floor. Call a f***ing priest. A creepy old lady, what? She shared that she felt fortunate why no spirits sat on her chest or attacked her. The closest that she's come is a few sleep paralysis episodes. I have had sleep paralysis before. It's horrifying. The only time I've had sleep paralysis, actually no, I've had it more than once. It happens when I take naps. I don't like to take naps because of that, and I just wake up feeling like horrible. So she joked that her sleep paralysis dreams have felt like a creature took a seat on her chest. She reminded Wilson that she told him the story about it, and it involves a little old lady in the back. Overall, this is after she took on the role, which kind of freaks me out, but then again, a lot of stuff has happened to the Warrens when they've gone to do these. cases and all that. I believe in all the medium psychic stuff. I think it's really interesting. So here's the last story I'm going to read. Ouija board doesn't work solo. They do not unless there is something there with you. That's just my take on it. So, 2017, here I am with a couple of my buddies messing around with the Ouija board. We come into contact with a few spirits. One of them in particular was my buddy's dead grandfather. Let's call my buddy Rick. We have a 15-minute session with a spirit that claimed to be his grandfather, spit actual facts about him and his grandfather that only he knew about. Rick was extremely close to his grandfather growing up, so he was getting a little emotional when the spirit was saying all of these things about his grandfather, so he said goodbye, and that session ended. We ended the session with his grandfather, but kept the night going because I drew a pentagram on the back of the board, and an acquaintance said he'd draw his blood and drip it on the board because we were all skeptics. I have never heard of such tomfoolery with a Ouija board. There were a lot of Zozo characters, but after 10 minutes, Rick switched out my other buddy, Bobby. So Bobby used to be haunted by a little girl demon when he was a kid. Now he didn't tell us this after the spirit contacted. After we asked what its name was and asked for details on what kind of spirit it was, Danny started freaking out. It was the same spirit from when he was a little kid and talked to the spirit for a very short period of time. All it did was talk about how much it wanted to hurt Bobby, so we quickly ended the session. We called it a night since it was almost 4 a.m. Danny and I are roommates, so I started talking to him about the little demon girl, and he explained that for 2 years when he was a kid, he was being tormented by the spirit until his parents took him to a church and did an exorcism. Now, he never said exorcism, but the priest did a whole bunch of blessings to try and protect him. Now, on to the next night, we decided to play Ouija board that night too, and we used the board and kept getting spirits that didn't understand English or kept spamming Zozo over and over again. We ended up talking to more evil spirits. They were aware that they were evil because that's what they told us. We had nothing else to go off of, but we still kept talking to them. After we kept talking, something weird started happening. Now, there was a point where I would ask a question that everyone in the room knew the answer to, but I purposefully thought of the wrong answer. I concentrated all of my thought on one word, and that was the wrong word. For some reason, the planchette would move to the word that I was thinking of. Maybe my buddy on the other side of the board wasn't thinking of anything while the planchette moved, but after I noticed, it was following my thoughts. It kept going for a couple more questions before we stopped. Bobby decided to play again. Sure enough, it was the same little girl, wouldn't stop talking about how much it wanted to hurt us. We ended the session early and called it quits for the night after that. No one likes it when there's a spirit telling us that's going to hurt us over and over again. We go to bed and some time passes. For some reason I woke up. I'm an extremely heavy sleeper. I can sleep through a whole war, trust me. I have had friends try to wake me up and it usually takes them a good minute of shaking and yelling at me before I wake up. Back to the subject now. For some reason I felt like someone was staring at me. All of a sudden I get nervous and my anxiety shoots through the roof and I peek my sights towards the corner of my room. I don't know what it was, but it was a very dark figure about 7 feet tall looking straight at me. There was no face, but by the way the shoulders were facing, it was looking directly at me. I don't know what to do because I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me, and at least that's what I told myself. I acted like a little kid and curled up into a ball under my sheets and hoped for the best, then nothing would happen and fell asleep. Next morning, Danny's complaining about scratches on his back, and I'm like, what? So he shows me there were 3 scratch marks on his back that looked like a cat scratch, but the lines were about 3 to 4 inches from each other. Broke the skin, and there's no way he could have done that by himself. He's not flexible enough. Now I'm thinking up to myself, maybe what I saw last night was real. So I checked my back, and I had a scratch mark, but it was only 2 lines. So I told him about the dark figure, and we both agreed to get rid of the board, so that's what we did. Now let's fast forward to a year. It's summer 2018. I want to play with the Ouija board again. Did you not learn from the first time? I will never understand people that they have experiences like this and then they decide, maybe I should do it again. Why? For the same shit to happen? No. Thinking after an experience like that, who wants to play again? I haven't played by myself yet and I like to learn about things I don't completely understand. I tried for 3 nights, absolutely nothing, and I have no idea why. My opinion, maybe it's a sign to not do it by yourself. Also, I've never seen or heard of people doing successful solo Ouija board sessions. I'd like to inform you that you should never drip blood on a Ouija board. It's not smart at all. In theory, it could create a link between the person the blood belongs to and whatever entity comes through. I want to know what went through your head when you thought, you know what? I'm gonna get my buddy to draw some blood and just slap that shit on the board. Why? Okay, so that was enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had fun reading those few stories, talking about the spirit world a little bit, you know, because I like learning about paranormal stuff as well. I believe in all that stuff. I think it's super interesting. I just don't partake in certain events like Ouija boards. If you enjoy this video, you can go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. So yeah, I'll see you pretty soon. Okay? Okay.